So hello my students. So in our last video we discussed about the definitions of recursion and what are the criteria to create an well defined recursive function. Now I just briefly uh, give you the definition again. Any function is said to be recursive function if a function calls itself. So a function is recursive function if it calls itself. Okay, this is the definition. And in our, if you follow my previous video, some examples were also given, and how to implement an recursive and well defined recursive function, that is given. Okay, now today we will discuss that which type of function can be converted into recursive function. So basically any iterative function could be converted into a recursive function. Why so? Now see, if you follow my last video link, then we saw an example of recursion. Now where we saw that whenever a function calls itself, okay, so usually it performs a repetitive task. So it performs a repetitive means the same task is being conducted again and again. Okay, so I will say that any iterative function can be converted into recursive. Now what is an iterative function? See, an iterative function contains loop statement as a central component to perform its task or to perform any calculation. For example, now suppose I will write a function to compute sum of first n natural numbers. Okay, so this is the example that I am writing in C language instruction. So int, return type of the function is int because the function will return the result. Name of the function is sum, and here int n is written, and this is a formal parameter. So why I have written here? Whenever somebody calls this function, the caller will pass an argument, an integer argument, and that argument will be caught in the variable n. Okay, and my function will compute sum of first n natural numbers. So for example, if n equal to 5, the function will find out what is the sum of 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. Okay, so first I will show you the iterative definition. So iterative means definitely to compute this I need a loop statement. So here I will write int s equals to 0. So if variable is created in the name s, then I will implement a loop that for int I equals to 1, I less than equals to n, I plus plus, s equal to s plus I, semicolon. Okay, and finally return s. So return s means the result has been written. Now if you notice that this function sum requires a loop statement to perform its computation. Okay, now I can rewrite this particular function in a different way also. Okay, iteratively, but in a different way. So let me write it in another way. I can write int sum, then int n. Here I can write int s equal to 0. Now what we can do, I will write while n greater than 0. So as long as value of n is greater than 0, s equal to s plus n, and then n minus minus. So this is also can be written. So this will also perform, this will also do the same result. Okay, and finally I will write return s. Okay, the same program, the same operation, but written in two different manner. Okay, and both are iterative functions. Now in such type of function, if you observe that, let us talk about this one. Here the loop statement will continue as long as the value of n is greater than 0, and once the n is equals to 0, the loop condition become false and it will come out, and at that moment function terminates. Okay, so when we perform iteration, we want that at some point the iteration should stop, the loop should stop, and that will be known as exit criteria, or you can say that is called as return criteria. So when value of n becomes equal to 0, this condition will false and we call it return criteria of the function. At that moment the function will return the value s that he has computed. Now if you observe this one also, for I equal to 1 to I less than equal to n, the exit criteria is the moment the value of I exceeds n, as long as the value of I is equal to n, the my loop shall continue, but the moment the value of I exceeds n, that is our exit criteria. Okay, so the algorithm will stop or the function will complete. Now this type of function could be written as a recursive function. Okay, now before implementing as a recursive function, see, I told you that whenever a function make a call to itself, it will continue continue executing the same code, same set of instructions again and again for an indefinite time. If you if you blindly implement recursion, then that function will not stop, will not terminate at all. For example, see, I am giving an example of a recursion. Suppose I'll say f is a function and where int x is passed as parameter, and if in this function I will write print x. I am not writing a complete C syntax. Print x means let us say the value of x will be printed, and then again I will call f and pass x plus plus. Okay, so only these two sentences written. Now here in this function, f has been called again with parameter value x plus plus, argument changed. Now this function once execute, it will print the value of x, then it will make a call to itself by incrementing the value of x. Now the function will continuously, repeatedly execute for again and again because there is no exit criteria. Okay, so in order to implement a recursive function, we need an exit criteria. So exit criteria means for a particular value of this argument x, my function should stop, and in that case my function should not call itself. Okay, so let me rewrite this particular function, the sum of computing sum of first n natural number in recursively. Now before writing the function, I will give a recursive definition of that operation. Okay, now suppose I will say sum. What is the sum of n? So what is the sum of first 5 natural number, or let's say first 10 natural number? Now I will say if the value of n is 0, okay, instead of first 5 or first 5 natural number, I will say if the value of n is 0 or if the value of n is 1. Okay, when the value of n is 1, then there is no need to perform any addition because we have only one natural number. Okay, so I can write the answer will be 1 if n equals to 1, or I can write answer equal to 0 if n equals to 0. In that case, there is no need of further addition. Okay, let us revise it. My answer will be 0 if value of n is 0. So if value of n is 0, then I don't need to perform anything. I don't need to do any operation. Okay, but when the value of n is greater than 0, then I shall perform n plus. Now suppose n is 5. If I ask you find sum of first 5 natural number, then I can say it is actually 5 plus sum of first 4 natural numbers. Okay, sum of first 5 natural number is equals to 5 plus sum of first 4 natural number, because first 4 natural number can be added with 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1 is 10, and when 10 is added with 5, I will get the sum of first 5 natural number. See, here I have written 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. So this can be considered as sum of first 5 natural number. Now I can also say 5 plus sum of first 4 natural number. Yes, so now this same definition I will write here. N plus, let us call sum, and instead of n, let us pass n minus 1. Okay, this is what called recursive formula. This is not a program I have written. I have not written any program. This is just a recursive formula. So this same formula should be implemented in a function, okay, to implement it recursively. Okay, now how do I implement this formula in a recursive procedure? See, this is my iterative procedure where I have iteratively computed sum of first n natural number, but the same program will be written recursively. Now what is the exit criteria? Now here when n is, as long as n greater than 0, my loop continue. So loop continue means when you implemented recursion, as long as n is greater than 0, the function will keep calling itself. And once n becomes 0, that will be my exit criteria. Okay, when n equal to 0, that I will stop. So this is where I have written the formula. So now let us see how we can define that function recursive. Okay, now let us give a name to our function, int rsum. So instead of only sum, I have renamed my function as rsum, and the parameter that we pass is int n. Okay, now here I'll declare a variable s. Okay, now my program will check what is the value of n for exit criteria for return. So if when n is equal to 0, see this formula, when n is 0, I will straight away return 0. So that will be written in if condition. So if n equals 0, so when value of n is 0, my function should not perform any addition, so it will return 0. Okay, else, so else means now addition should be conducted. So I will write n plus, so value of n, this one will be added with what? Will be added with sum of first n minus 1 natural number. Okay, therefore after writing n plus, I will call my function, I will call the function rsum. Okay, and in rsum I have to pass a parameter. So right now my parameter for this particular function, my parameter is n. Now I will pass n minus 1 as my parameter. So I will expect that this particular function will be called again. So first my program will compute sum of n minus 1 natural numbers, and then the result will be added with n, and it will be stored in s, and finally I'll write return s. Okay, then function will finish. So this is what recursive definition of my summation of first n natural numbers. Now let me explain how this particular function is processed, how a recursive program is actually processed in the memory. Okay, so let us assume this function is called from a main program. Okay, so now my main program, so suppose this is my main program. Okay, and main program creates a variable int x equals calls rsum by passing 3. The parameter that we pass is 3. I am taking it very short. Okay, and then my program will print f %dx. So what my program is supposed to do? My main program wants to perform calculation of sum of first 3 natural number, means 1 plus 2 plus 3. So now for this I have, this function is called and argument passed is 3. So this value 3 will be passed here. So here the value of n is now 3. So for this particular call, the value of n is 3. So in this particular function, int s is created. So a variable s is created for this particular function. Now it will be compared. If n is 0, so what is the value of n? It is 3. So n is 0? No. So it will jump over here. So when n is not equal to 3, the exit criteria is not satisfied. Now the else part will be executed. In else part, what is written? S equals n. So what is the value of n right here? Right here n is 3. So it will be assumed that 3. Okay, 3 plus r sum n minus 1. So n value of n is here. For this n is 3. So 3 minus 1. So again the r sum function will be called, but now argument that will be passed is 3 minus 1. So once this one is called, I will write a separate function. Okay, this is my first call and r sum is called to second. So now again I am writing for better understanding. So int sum int n. Now you see, since this is a separate function, r sum, the function name is r sum. This one is the first call, this one is the second call. So now this n is a different variable. So now another memory space is reserved for containing the value of n. So the value of n in the second instance will be received from this particular call where n minus 1 is read. So here n is 3, so 3 minus 1 is 2, so value passed to this function is 2. So now n becomes 2. Now here I will again write int s equal to 0. If n equals 0, return 0, else s equal n plus r sum then n minus 1 and return s. Okay. Now the second call when receives, how much value it receives? 2. So the same definition is written here. So again it will check s. So a separate s is created over here. Now you see variable s and n are part of the function. Okay, so this one is separate r sum and this one is separate r sum loaded in the memory. See, I have to write it only once, but when the program executes, a separate block of the same function is loaded in the memory. So this n and the s are reserved again in the memory. Okay, these n and s for the second call. So here the variable n and s are already there in the memory, and here again a new version of n and s are created where n is 2, s is now null, blank. Okay, now n is compared to 0, so the criteria doesn't satisfy, so else part will execute. In the else part we have s equals n plus r sum. So what is the value of n here? So here value of n is 2 plus r sum, and the parameter that is passed is n minus 1. So now from this a separate call will be made. So this is the third call. Okay, so here n minus, here n means what is the value of n in this particular function? The value of n is 2. So n minus 1 will be passed. 2 minus 1. So argument passed is 1. So 1 will be passed to another function. So int r sum int n. So this n is again a new n. So for this another memory space will be reserved. Okay, and 1 will come over here. Now here again int s equal to 0, that is written. Okay, s equal to 0 is not required basically, but okay, fine. Let us say, erase this one, we don't need to initialize s. Now if n equal 0, return 0, the same statements are there. Else s equals to n. Now for this particular function, what is n? The value of n is 1. So 1 plus, now again r sum is called with parameter value is n minus 1 and will perform return s. Fine. Now from here again, before addition of 1 plus r sum n minus 1 means first this statement will require the computation of r sum n minus 1. So recursive sum function is called again with n minus 1 is the argument. So again it will call it to a different function. So this is the fourth instance. So int r sum int n. Okay. Now from this particular function, what is the value of n? N value of is 1. So 1 minus 1 is 0. So the value passed to here is 0. Now here I will say int s is written, and if n equals 0, return 0, and else. See here else part is not required, so I am not writing it anymore. Now after this particular function is called and loaded in the memory, here the value of n that is received is 0. Okay, so now this condition satisfies if n equal to 0. So condition satisfies when n equal to 0. Instead of now this particular statement, return statement will execute instead of else. But so from this point, no more recursive call is required. Okay, so no more recursive call is required, and therefore the value will be returned. And what is the value returned? 0. Now my point is, this return value should move to which part? Because this, we know a function shall return anything to its caller. So whoever has called the function, that particular caller will get the result. So this return 0 means we will, as the function rsum, this particular instance is called from here. See, from here. So the value 0 will transfer to this location. Okay, and to the function who passed n minus 1 means 1 minus 1. Okay, now what is the value is get? You will get 0. So once this value is obtained, now this entire statement which was pending, which has not computed, that addition operation will take place, because operand of this addition operator is n and the second operand is the function. Okay, the function returns the 0 and its n is 1. So 1 plus 0. So what is the result? 1, and that 1 will be stored in s. So in this particular function, value s will now contain 1. Okay, now the function will, after that addition taken place, it will perform return s. S is return. Okay, now when return s, to whom it will return? So it will return to its caller. So now s, the value of s will be returned to here. Okay, to the caller of this particular instance. How much value is returned from s? Value of s is here 1. So 1 is written over here. So now the expression rsum becomes 1. So it will get the result 1. Okay, in this particular instance. Now here addition was pending, so addition will be conducted with n. So what was value of n at this juncture? The value of n at this call was 2. So 2 plus the result of rsum is 1. So 2 plus 1 is 3, and that 3 value is stored in s now. Okay, now s becomes 3. So after the computation is addition is over, then the next statement return, which was also pending because a call has been made from here. So this statement was pending. Now this return statement will execute. Return s. So what is the value of s here? Here the value of s is 3. So this s will return to its caller. And who is caller of this instance? The caller of this particular instance is the first instance. The first instance means here. Okay, so value return is 3. Now rsum got 3, and already here the addition which was pending, the first operand of n was 3. So now 3 plus 3, what is the total result? 6. Now it is stored in s. So the variable s here now becomes 6. Okay, so you see, when a recursion is made, every time the function gets called, a separate instance of the function are created in the memory, and for every instance all its parameter and local variable are reserved in the memory separately. Okay, so here s is 6. Now after addition, again the return s is conducted. Return s means this return value will move to the caller of rsum. The first instance of rsum was called from main function. See, this is the main function. So this s value will be returned to the main function. Okay, from where rsum was called initially with parameter 3. So the result that obtained is 6, and 6 is stored in x and printf x. So x will be printed. Now this is how a recursive function will work in the memory. But to create a recursive function, we just simply need to write only this part, only the first part. Okay, we don't need to write everything. Okay, so now I hope you understood how to implement recursion. First of all, any iterative function could be represented using recursion. And when an iterative function is implemented in recursion itself, the iterative condition, see here, the main component of iteration, sum, the iteration was while n greater than 0, the loop. Now that loop component was represented or replaced with if else condition. Okay, and the exit criteria of the loop statement, here the exit criteria of loop was n equal to 0, not greater than 0, because as long as n greater than 0, the loop shall continue. So exit criteria was n equal to 0. So that exit criteria was used in my recursion program. If n equal to 0, then return. So return means this is my exit criteria. Otherwise, if n is not equal to 0, then the else part shall execute, and else part, before performing addition, I should make a call to the recursion by reducing the parameter value, because we know that in a well-defined recursive function there must be exit criteria for which the function should not call itself, and if at all the function should call itself, okay, the parameter that we pass, that n-1, must move closer to the exit criteria. So my exit criteria was 0, and when I call the function again, the parameter that I passed was n-1. So here n was 3, and then parameter that I passed n-1. So next time it becomes 2. So that means every time I make a call, my argument is moving closer to 0. Okay, so we should carefully that every time you make a call and pass a parameter, the value of parameter should be changed, and it should move closer to the exit criteria, so that at some depth, at some point of time, at some point of recursive call, that parameter matches with exit criteria, and from that exit criteria it will return back towards to its previous caller. This is how we will implement recursion. Okay, in my next video I will show you some more recursive functions. Till then, thank you.